was given to me last January, and I take it very, very seriously. This is an exciting time for me, but more importantly, it's an exciting time for council, and even more importantly, it's an exciting time for the citizens of Brainerd. You know, when people get up to speak in front of a group, they generally have one of two fears. One fear is they're going to get up and speak and no one comes. And the other fear is they're going to get up and speak and everybody comes and the room is just gigantically filled. I think we have a wonderful turnout tonight, and again, we thank you for coming, and we want to make this as audience friendly as possible. So I'm going to do a couple of introductions. Mayor Wallin is going to offer a welcome this evening. We're going to talk a little bit about process, and by about 7 o'clock, we're going to get to the really important part of this evening, and that's to get input from you. Teresa will take some of the things that we're going to show you quickly and give you some time to actually offer some more specific things that you think we can do in order to improve our already wonderful city. So I want to introduce any staff that's here this evening, and so if staff members would just kind of pop up like little frogs in a bucket. We'll just introduce you. This is Teresa Goebel, the city administrator, Connie Hillman, the finance director for the city of Brainerd, Todd Wicklund, the finance director secretary of BPU, Chief McQuiston, whom I'm hoping none of you have met, Tony Saylor, the Parks Director, Jeff Hulsether, the City Engineer, Mark Ostgarden, the City Planner, and Nikki is our record recorder, a record taker this evening. We also have with us this evening some council members. Not all of them were able to make it. Mayor Wallin is here in attendance up in the front row. We also have Chip Borkenhagen and his wife Jean, they're here this evening. Mary Cope is here. Gary Sheeler is here. Dale Parks is over here. Dave Pritchett, and Councilmember Bevins was not able to be with us this evening. We hope that he's feeling better. We also had the assistance of a couple of individuals in this process. They're chamber execs, and they were able to give us some clarity as to process, what they thought we should be doing, and what probably some things we shouldn't be doing also in order to get ourselves through this process. Those individuals were Ed Egan and Dick Jordan. And I did see Dick here this evening. He's in the back corner. I haven't seen Ed. He wasn't able to come this evening. So they actually they worked through Bladek, and we were really happy to have their assistance. Having said those introductory comments, okay, having said those introductory comments, we want to bring Mayor Wallin forward, and having been in his shoes, you almost need Nikes or Keds or something. The mayor is always more than one place at any given time. He was kind enough to spend a couple of moments with us, and then he has another commitment. But we just wanted you to know how much we appreciate you being here. Mayor?
Thank you, Bonnie. And she's right. She's been there and done that, so she knows that sometimes it's hard to be 2-3 places at once, especially when they're out of town, different places, and it's about the same time frame. We're lucky tonight because the thing I'm going to be at is at 7 o'clock at the airport. So, and Teresa told me I had plenty of time to come here and welcome all of you. So here I am. But one of the things I'd like to mention is that this is my 35th year on the city council. Not a big thing, but one of the things that has happened for the very first time in those 35 years is what has happened here. And thanks to Dick and Ed and all of the council people, all the department heads for putting this together. To have strategic planning is really a necessity for a city our size, for the growth that we want to obtain, and all of the things that we need to look at as elected officials, and to do that in a very positive, professional way for the citizens of Brainerd. So with that, I am very, very pleased with all of the participation from everybody involved to make this come to fruition. Yeah, I flunked English, by the way. Yes, I did. But anyway, with that, I do appreciate everyone being here tonight. We have the most expertise people that you could ever ask for to guide, direct you, and to get everything put together so we can move forward just like a 120-mile-an-hour train, just going right down the tracks. So with that, you all have a good evening, and thank you again for coming. And thank you, Bonnie.
Our agenda tonight is going to include then the process that we went through with some information so that you understand that we just didn't throw darts at a chart on the wall or just get up someday and decide that this is what we were going to do. The key part, as I mentioned previously, will be audience participation. I mentioned that this is scheduled to run from 6:30 to 8. If some of you would like to stay later than that, I certainly will stay and listen to what you have to say. Once we get an opportunity to hear what you think about what we did and the results that came from that process, council is going to make whatever necessary adjustments might need to be made. Now, everything you tell us tonight may not happen overnight, but we're going to take all of your suggestions and recommendations seriously, and if they don't necessarily fit into the 4 items that we're going to spend some time on this evening, along with the mission and the vision, they're going to be added to the stockpile of ideas that we have for the future, and we will continue in a fluid kind of situation to move things forward so that we always have some goals and always have some objectives that we want to follow that will make this city even better. Once council has made the adjustments in our thinking, then we're going to look for ultimate approval of the mission, the vision, the goals and objectives, and the activity begins. So having said that, Mark is going to help me with the PowerPoint presentation. I am vocational, but I am not technical. So he's going to do the work for me. So as you can see, I hope you can all see where you're at. The City Council started its strategic planning process on February 11th, 2013. This meeting was the first step in creating proposed City of Brainerd mission and vision statements and a strategic plan. We held subsequent meetings on March 11th, March 25th, and April 22nd of 2013. Plus, we also spent some time at the 2 City Council meetings in May, where we took some of the, well, 2 each time, 2 of the focus points that we had finalized and talked about them and tried to tweak those as well to make sure that we agreed as much as possible in a united way about what we were going to be presenting to you. That doesn't mean the job is done. It simply means that we looked at our wording and we decided that this is where we want to go with these particular items. You're going to see the mission statement and the vision statement and the 4 focus items later on this evening. We're just going to give you a look at them now, and I'm still in the process portion of all of this. And when Teresa comes up here in a little while, that's where we're going to cut, dig, diagnose, just really do the editing and the wordsmithing that we need to do in order to finalize these. So that brings us to a mission statement, and mission statements are special purposes. What's the purpose of the City of Brainerd? And we talked about being committed to providing high quality, cost-effective public services and leadership in creating a sustainable city. You almost have to take that like a surgeon and diagnose those words and phrases to make sure that you understand. We want quality, we want cost effectiveness, we want public services that you know and have come to rely on. We want leadership, and we want to look in a futuristic way in how we provide all of this. Sustainable cities might not be a term or a phrase that you're familiar with. We're kind of defining sustainable cities as those that meet diverse needs and hopes of both the existing and future residents. Okay? Just because I believe in something doesn't mean that the other 7 people on council believe the same thing. We have diverse needs and diverse ideas as to where this city should go. We have the hope of moving things forward, but we may have a different idea as to how that movement is going to happen. We want to do this for current and future residents, and we also, because of where we're located, need to keep in mind those people that come to the city of Brainerd on a more temporary basis. That's juggling a lot of balls in the air. That's a lot of things to have to plan for, but we're willing to do that, and we want to do that. Some of the decisions might be related to the environment, some to economic base, some to leadership. There are all sorts of subcategories within that, but our mission is to be committed to those items we just mentioned: high quality, cost-effective public services, and leadership in creating a sustainable city. After we have our mission, then we go on and we start looking at a vision statement. Vision statements are those things that we are seeing and we're imagining. And again, there are 8 of us. When we count the mayor, there are 8 of us on council. And so we ended up having like 9 parts to our vision statement. Okay? And that's not unusual. And in fact, those 9 parts actually became some of the goals then that we went on to pursue. So one of the vision statements is a stable financial plan. I want to assure you, and again, Teresa will take you through this in a more detailed way, but I want to assure you that we already have stable financial planning, but that doesn't mean that we can't do better. We get awards. Our audits are clean, but there may be some additional things that we can do to be even better and more stable. Another vision is that the city of Brainerd has a clear, recognizable identity. If we were to go from place to place and point to point, person to person, and say, when you think of Brainerd, what do you think of? Some people might say railroads, some people might say tourism, some people might say fluoridated water, some people might, have all sorts of ideas as to what the city of Brainerd is. And they're not wrong. It's like that old story of the 8 blind people who are trying to define or explain what an elephant looks like. If you've got the trunk, you have a whole different definition than if you have the tail or a foot or an ear. So we needed to be more stable here on our identity. We want to be a city that promotes sound economic development strategies. And if I personally were going to add a word, I would add the word consistent. But that's only my word. Promoting sound and consistent economic development strategies. That as we develop economically, we treat people alike as much as possible, and that everybody has a clear idea of what the city of Brainerd expects in the area of economic development. That we support growth management principles. Now, in order to do growth management, we need to have an understanding of what's been done in the past, what we're currently doing for growth management, and what our future needs are. Just as an example, it depends on what media you use, but you can pick up almost any newspaper, magazine, watch TV, listen to radio, and find out that people in my age bracket, over 55 and under 110, are growing rapidly. And because of that change in demographic, there are changes necessary in needs. Whether it's transportation, whether it's housing, whether it's medical care. Everyone would love to age in their own home, but sometimes that's just not possible. So that's that kind of development. We have to have an understanding of what our future needs need to be. We also need to understand state and federal mandates, local ordinances and policies, and we can learn from past practices. Something might be old, and parts of it might not fit now, but certainly somebody put that practice into practice for a reason. So what can we learn from that that will help us support the appropriate growth management principles for the city of Brainerd? We also want to be a city that invests in its neighborhoods, a city that places an emphasis on recreational and cultural opportunities, that has access to quality health care and education, that values and encourages citizen participation. After all, what we do impacts everyone in the city of Brainerd. I'm thrilled that we have as many people here as we do tonight. I'm disappointed that we have as many people here and actually don't have the whole cafeteria filled with even overflow crowd in the hallway. Quite often in my job, and I'm pretty sure the rest of the council members will agree with this and probably staff too, the greatest input that I get and that I got when I was mayor was the day after something was passed or went into effect or was decided upon. Then we started to hear from folks, and really the train has left the depot. So the fact that you're here and you're willing to engage this evening, I find that wonderful. Some of you are on committees and commissions on part of the city. Some of you are part of the media. We thank Mike O'Rourke for being here from the Dispatch and Lakes Media Collaborative for televising this program so that people at home can see what we're up to and respond in the next few days. Some of you show up at our council meetings and speak during public forums. Some of you write open forum letters. Some of you have done some things with neighborhood groups. We're looking for that kind of participation. We want that kind of participation. We want more citizen participation. And we want to be a city that forms partnerships with organizations who can assist us in attaining our goals. Now, partnerships, there are people here that are part of the city that have already said, you know what, we want to be partners. Whether it's Brainerd Public Utilities, whether it's the Housing and Redevelopment Authority, whether it's the airport, whether it's the Chamber and Bladec, we're hearing from people going, you know what, this intrigues us now. We want to be part of this. We're hearing from the Initiative Foundation. We're hearing from business people, from the property management group that meets monthly. Partners, nobody can do it alone. We want you to come to the plate and be partners with us. After we were able to do the goals, or to do the mission and the vision statement, we were able to do some work on goals and objectives. When we're talking about goals, we're talking about those things that we can actually accomplish to meet the vision. And when we're talking about objectives, we're talking about the ways that we can meet the goal that will meet the objective. So, just a little bit of lesson on terminology, if you don't mind. I'm going to switch to the wall to my left for just a moment because I want to talk to you just a little extra about the process that we went through. I know some of you are going, oh my goodness, this is just kind of, when do we get to talk? Very, very soon, okay? We started looking at planning and the planning process. That's what this particular sheet of paper outlines. Here's the mission, here's the vision, here are the goals, here are the objectives. And after everything gets approved, then that's where the policies are going to come in. So this really summarizes what I've been trying to tell you. Planning is the process of dealing with the future here in the present. Okay, that goes along with what we were trying to tell you. If you're hungry, you might want to look at the PIE definition. That might be more appealing to you. But planning, implementing, and evaluating. We're not doing this and just throwing things in the air and saying, well, we did that. There's a definite evaluation step here that is going to be involved. Did we get the job done as we've outlined it? Was it done successfully? What kept us from accomplishing those goals and objectives? What do we need to do differently the next time we try to do this event? So this is all in place. This, although some of you may think that this should be hanging in the Louvre, this is how my brain works. If you look down on a flower as you're walking past City Hall, for instance, you'll see the top of the flower, and the top of the flower are the 9 goals that we set, the 9 vision statements that we set up as part of our process. Part of the stem and the leaves of that flower are our partners, the city council itself, and of course the citizens of Brainerd. They're going to be the uplifting, keep it standing, keep it going piece. And down underground, not always seen, but definitely needed and extremely important to the process would be the administration and staff at city level. They're the people that are going to actually make whatever policies we're able to establish, make them work. One of the things that we did was a SWOT analysis, and some of you are familiar with SWOT. Each letter stands for a word, so the S would be strengths, the W would be weaknesses, the O would be opportunities, the T would be threats. We went through tons of pages of paper and looked at things like the clear, recognizable identity. This is only one of many, many sheets, and we did the SWOT analysis for each one of those things that we were looking at and that we were visioning. And it's a nice visible way to see, you know, where are we strong? Where do we need to work a little bit harder? Then what we did, the office printed out some grids for us to use, and we individually, we sat down and under a particular goal, we listed some objectives and we looked at things like what would be the action steps to make things happen? What would be the staff leadership needed, the timeline? What would be a measurable outcome? What might our partners be, et cetera, including the evaluation piece. And then we shared all of our information with each other. And then we actually partnered up. I don't know if I've got one of those examples, but council members actually partnered up with staff and were able to put together a report. So we all heard from everybody about each of these areas. And once we heard the information presented, it was our job to start voting. Okay, what goals and objectives are we going to vote for? That's what these orange dots indicate, that the neighborhood was one of the things that received the greatest number of votes. We want to start with that. Now, please remember that the plan goes from 2013 to 2016. This is only a 3-year plan, so what can we accomplish in 3 years, in this case, in the area of neighborhoods? And after we discussed all of that and we voted, and this was one of the top vote getters, here it is again up here, these were the top 8, and we voted again. We can't do all 8 in the next 3 years, 2.5 years. What can we do in a timely manner, and what's a priority to be done in a timely manner? So we voted again, and that's where the top 4 that Teresa's going to talk with you about in just a little bit, that's where the top 4 came from. And sometimes we needed a reinforcement about planning. Quite often when people say planning, you either see fear or you see people falling asleep. It's about a 50-50 process. People don't like planning. It is a risk, and we're taking a risk this evening by unveiling all of this for you, although it's been in the newspaper and on our website and a few other places. We're risking having you come and say, oh man, you aren't even close to what needs to be done here. It does require time and commitment, and I thank staff and I thank council immensely for the time and commitment that they've put into this, and it does require work. Once we know what we're supposed to be doing, there's no excuse for not doing it. And so we need to, now get at it and make things happen. We were also charged with working SMART, and some of you may know that, an acronym. If not, the S stands for specific, the M for measurable, the A for achievable, the R for relevant, and the T for time bound. And that was definitely a goal that we set out to do. We wanted to make sure that we were smart in our thinking and where we were headed. So that's going to bring us to the 4 focus areas that we're going to talk more in detail tonight. One is investing in neighborhoods to provide pride of ownership and livability of neighborhoods. The other is stable financial planning and managing the current and future spending for the public good through long-range planning techniques and disciplines. One is to redesign the website and create a city newsletter, and one is to design and build a Mississippi River Walk to connect downtown to the rest of the trails winding through the city to create a clear, recognizable identity. We also discussed a few other issues during the workshops, and as I mentioned in my introductory remarks, we've got those on the back burner and we'll continue to look at those. To identify past and current growth management principles and plan future policies, and to strengthen our partnerships, to promote sound economic development strategies, to encourage more citizen participation in local government, and to explore planning for future staff succession. That has to happen sooner rather than later. Our staff is all aging at about the same rate. So, and there seems to be nothing I can do about it. And so, if they all decide to get up and leave tomorrow, we're just in a world of hurt. And so one of the things that we'll be doing beyond what you're going to see tonight is working on some kind of a succession plan very, very soon and very, very quickly. I know that some of you have said, I want potholes filled. I don't necessarily need a newsletter. I want jobs. How important is the beauty of the city? I'm just here to tell you that I think it's like peanut butter and jelly. I think you can have both. I think it's like serve and protect. There's a commercial on TV. I don't even know what it's for, but they talk, I think it's for a Ford automobile, where they talk about you can have this and this versus like serve and protect, where Corky protects me and then serves me a sandwich. You know, I get both from him, as do you, because of your tax dollars. And I think we can operate the city in the same way. We can have beauty, we can have filled potholes. We can have jobs, we can have newsletters. It's all about how we structure what we're doing and how we use our time and our resources in a smart way. Thank you for letting me go on and on and on about this, but I wanted you to understand the process. Now we're getting to the point where I'm going to take some notes on the flip chart. Teresa's going to talk you through the specifics. Whatever you come to the microphone and talk to us about, we'll try and fit it into a category so that we can look at it and analyze it and see how we can use what your input is. You will be asked to come to a microphone and state your interest or your concern. If there becomes a stampede to the microphone, you know that we have law enforcement here. But don't be shy of coming to the microphone because we do want to hear from you. So thank you for letting me share this time with you. And Teresa, if you'll come forward.
Thank you, Council President. I have to also put in a huge plug for the Blaydock execs. Without Dick and Ed, we wouldn't be this far. I mean, they really help. I'm sure they got tired of me calling with questions all the time, but thank you very much, Dick. We really appreciate you. Ed is here? All right. Welcome, Ed. Thank you very much to both of you. We really appreciate it. Okay, as Bonnie mentioned to you, I'm going to talk about the strategic focuses, the top 4 that were identified, with the first one being investing in city neighborhoods. There actually were 3 objectives in that particular focus. I'm going to go through all 3 objectives, and then we'll ask for input on that focus on investing in city neighborhoods before we go on to the next one. So the first one of investing in city neighborhoods, the first objective was to improve pride of ownership and livability of the neighborhoods. The action steps needed to meet those objectives, working with citizens, of course, is to review property maintenance code and land use regulations for consistency with community standards, to determine what codes and regulations are needed to meet the objective, and to pursue grants that fund neighborhood redevelopment and rehabilitation opportunities. We assign staff leadership to each one of these objectives that we're going to be talking about tonight. This particular one is the city engineer and the city planner, and our estimated timeline to accomplish those objectives for this focus is December 31st of next year, 2014. Whenever we identified objectives, we also needed to have some kind of measurement in order to determine whether we were meeting those objectives. The measurable outcome for this particular focus is ordinance amendments created to enhance property maintenance code standards and/or land use regulations as needed for the safety and welfare of the citizens. Improved property appearances. Use your eyes, improve property appearances. And also a possibility of awarding certificates for visual property improvements would be a measurement. The partnership opportunities that we identified for this particular objective were the HRA, BLADAC, Property Management Group, Realtors, media, and I'm sure there's many more, and that's what we want to hear from you tonight. The second focus for investing in the city neighborhoods is to promote creation of active neighborhood associations. The action steps needed to meet this objective is to determine the existence of current neighborhood associations. We believe there is one for sure on the north side. There may be more that are active that we're not aware of, and that's what we would like to learn. We also want to promote the need for additional neighborhood associations. We want to assist with organizing and strengthening neighborhood associations with informed, identified, available tools and programs through the use of social media. The staff leadership responsibility for this is the police chief. The Neighborhood Watch used to be a big program for the neighborhood associations. According to the police chief, that's not so much anymore. There are social media tools out there, and we want to research those and be able to use those more effectively. The timeline to accomplish these action steps is December 31st of 2015. Our measurable outcomes would be to support those associations currently existing, such as I said, the north side, reestablishment of the northeast and the southeast neighborhood associations. They were quite active at one time. We would like to see that happen again. And also to establish 2 additional neighborhood associations, and to activate neighborhood programs available through, like I said, interactive social media. The partnership opportunities we identified for this focus were the current active neighborhood associations. They can definitely help us. Property Management Group again. The elected ward aldermen. As you know, the city of Brainerd has 7 council members. 4 are elected by wards, Ward 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 3 are elected at large. If we could have 4 associations, we would have the ward alderman in each of those wards be active in that association. And then, of course, law enforcement agencies. The third focus for investing in city neighborhoods is to develop walkable and bikeable neighborhoods. The action step needed to meet this objective is to develop comprehensive citywide sidewalk, trail, and bike lane plans for inclusion in the comp plan and as the basis of complete street programs, all based upon citizen input. The staff leadership responsibility for this focus is the city planner. The timeline to adopt a walkable, bikeable plan is December 31st of 2016. The measurable outcomes for this focus would be development of the plan by 2014, citizen input meetings into that plan in the year 2015, and then adoption of the plan by the City Council by the end of 2016. The partnership opportunities that we identified were the Brainerd Parks and Recreation Department, the Brainerd Engineering Department, neighborhood associations, healthcare community, schools, user groups such as the Bicycle Advisory Group, and again, I'm sure there's many more that we could hear about. So that's our first focus area. Is there any comments on the focus area of investing in the city neighborhoods? Anything that you would like us to know, anything you would like us to change, we're open for discussion.
Just a couple of examples up here. There were a couple people that couldn't come this evening, but they had some concerns. One lady was concerned about the Garfield sidewalk project, and you don't think I can use my teacher voice? All right. A couple of people could not attend the meeting this evening, and so they sent emails or made phone calls or whatever. One lady was concerned about the Garfield sidewalk situation. She has some property where the driveway is going to be shortened a lot, the extra shoveling and the cost of doing the shoveling. So she just wanted us to know that. So that's up here for us to think about some more. And then also someone suggested that it's probably inferred, but that we make sure that we enforce the current ordinances as they relate to the neighborhoods. And whether it's the nuisance complaint, it wouldn't be about your property, it would be about your neighbor's property with the tall grass or the poor decorating choices or whatever. So we already have a couple things here, and you'll notice that there are some on the charts already, just to kind of give you some thought and encourage you to get to the microphone.
Stand up and use the microphone, please.
My name is Sammy. You're part as a partnership opportunity with schools, okay? All respect due to the Brainerd School. We don't reach out to country who bring money, okay? You want the neighborhood to improve. You want this to improve, ma'am. Instead of going, shall we say, to Sweden, Norway, European country. Let's go to the country who has the buck. Dubai, Saudi Arabia, this country, Oman, let's bring them here. The kids come to school in the United States, ma'am, to learn how you, us Americans, think. So when they go back home, they know how. These people has the money, ma'am. We bring them in. Then their mom and dad come in, look around, hey, I like Brainerd. I'm going to blow that place, build a brand new hotel. It happened in the Mayo Clinic, ma'am. These are the things we have to look at outside the box. Not just say, bing, let's go to Sweden as a sister town. Let's have Abu Dhabi as a sister town, where the guy don't care, $1 million, he'll spend them. This is what we have to look, ma'am. Not say, 10 years from now, or hey, let's do it now. Let's have a quick meeting. I speak Arabic. You have a lot of people who speak Arabic now. Even the State Department send people to teach Arabic.
Okay, thank you,
So
sir.
this way, ma'am, instead of saying 2015, 2014, by 2015, we have this thing going.
Great. Thank you for your comments. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Anyone else?
I'm Kim Watson, and maybe Bonnie answered this, I'm not sure. With the codes and regulations to meet the objective of property maintenance codes, how are those codes enforced? Is it city employees that are out on business that notice places that need attention and therefore it gets reported, or is it, how does that happen to get those enforced?
Do we want Jeff? Jeff, could you answer that for us? Could you please come to the microphone, though? Jeff. Jeff, there's another microphone.
Oh, great. That's loud. Right now, we do code enforcement in a couple of different manners. Some codes are related to rental housing. We have a structured program where those units are registered and then inspected once on a 3-year rotation. Other types of code enforcement, lawn, grass, junk in yards, that type of thing. If there's some real egregious situations, and someone spots them, we notify the property owner and get them abated. A lot of it is on a complaint basis. This year, we are being a little bit more aggressive. This year, we did hire a code enforcement intern for the summer. That person is out scouring the neighborhoods looking for lawn grass, junk in yards, paint problems on houses and other structures. So we're taking a much more aggressive, proactive approach to it this summer.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions on investing in the city neighborhoods? Okay.
Excuse me, on the planning thing for the school, the comments on that. How you, Barney, you have been in the school district. Yes. How you see if they get out of the box, who they have to talk to, who they have to holler to get this thing rolling. Don't say, let's have a committee and a subcommittee. What's your opinion on that? I mean, it's frustrating. Let's put it this way.
I taught high school marketing for 34 years that don't, yes, students in the audience, that don't know me or don't know my background. Honestly, I think the best way, and those of you that are currently teaching or have been currently involved with the school district may disagree, but I think the best way is for parents to come forward and get the school district and the superintendent engaged. If an educator comes, it's no disrespect to us, but if an educator comes forward with some of these ideas, it's kind of like, you know, aren't you busy enough in your own classroom to do these things? Just go back, teach what you need to teach, make sure the kids meet the requirements, etc. But when the phone starts ringing and a parent goes, you know what, this is what I would like to see happening. These are the kinds of things out of the box that I would like to see the school district pursue. There seems to be a certain amount of attentiveness that's given to that. So I would think if you start grassroots, to use an old cliche, and get neighborhoods and parents excited about something, they will listen.
Okay, great. Let's move on to the next focus area. The next strategy focus area, number 2, and by the way, we're going through these in the order that they were voted on by the City Council. The City Council members are the ones that voted. This came in as the second priority, stable financial planning. And like Bonnie mentioned to you before, rest assured the city is in financial stable condition, as reaffirmed by our bond ratings of AA- and also our clean audits, our budgets that we come in on budget. What we're basically doing with this is putting practice into policy when we're talking about stable financial planning. So the first one is to develop a 5-year capital equipment, which we have done in the past, but we're adding to that this time. Develop a 5-year capital equipment improvement and facilities plan. The action steps needed to meet that objective is to receive input from the department heads in order to identify the needs, to identify and explore funding requirements and sources, and to develop the plan and submit it to the City Council for approval. The staff leadership responsibility for this focus is the City Finance Director and the BPU Finance Director. The timeline to accomplish this is December 31st of this year. And the reason that we are saying December 31st of this year is because we want to start preparing the plans right away so that we can use it in the discussion of the 2014 budgeting. The measurable outcome would be the plan accepted by the City Council, amended by the City Council, used by the City Council in the 2014 budget discussions. Partnership opportunities are the department heads, professional financial advisors, and professional rating agencies. Another item under stable financial planning is to achieve compliance with an adopted fund balance policy. Let me explain that a little bit. Right now, the City Council has an adopted policy that specifies that at the end of each fiscal year, the city will maintain a spendable, unassigned portion of fund balance for cash flow in a range equal to 35% to 50% of the general fund operating expenditures. For those of you that may not be aware, the city gets its main revenue sources in July. So we need a fund balance at the end of the year to basically help us to operate for 6 months. We get half of our local government aid and half of our tax revenue in July. We get the other half in December. That's why there is a focus on what the fund balance should be at the end of the year in order to operate for the next 6 months. We have historically been very close to the 35%. We've been, 30, 31, 32. And so we want to, so the action steps, let me go back to script here. The action steps needed to meet the objectives is to review the past 3 audit results to determine the estimated dollars needed to get to that 35 to 50%. Hold discussion during our proposed budget process as to the adequacy of the policy as currently adopted. And then the adopted policy either reaffirmed by the City Council and make a conscious effort to get to that 35 to 50%, or revised and amended. Staff leadership responsibility for this focus is the City Finance Director. The timeline to accomplish this is December 31st of 2014. It will be part of the 2014 budget discussions, and we will see what the audit is at the end of 14. The measurable outcome would be the audit results measured against the adopted revised policy. We'll see what the audit results are for 2013 and 2014 to determine where we are in that policy. Partnerships opportunities are the city auditing firm and professional financial advisors and bond rating agencies. The next stable financial planning focus is to reestablish the BPU revenue bond original bond rating of AA3. The revenue bonds were sold in 2007 for improved electric system, new substation, and feeders. The 2007, those bonds received a downgrade to A3 due to electric rates not being increased incrementally to meet the rising cost of purchasing electrical power. The goal is to get the bond issue rate upgraded in order to achieve maximum interest savings. The action steps needed to meet those objectives: planned incremental increases in electric rates as recommended by a rate study, the BPU board approval of the planned rate increases, and increased public awareness as to why the rate increases are needed. The staff leadership responsibility for that objective is the BPU Finance Director. The timeline to accomplish this is December 31st of next year, 2014. Of course, an easy measurable outcome would be the bond issue rate is reestablished at the AA3, which is the rate initially assigned at issuance. Partnership opportunities identified: professional rate study firm, professional financial advisors, and professional bond rating agencies. Excuse me. The last focus for strategic planning, financial planning, is the local option sales tax, which we call LOST, legislation extended. The LOST special legislation was established to pay for the new wastewater treatment plant, and it expires in May of 2019. The debt on the wastewater treatment plant will not be retired at that time frame. So the action steps needed to extend to meet this objective would be to research the requirements in order to maintain the local option sales tax, establish timelines to meet the requirements, meet with area legislators to educate and for education, and to establish consistent information to be shared and supported by partners. The staff leadership responsibility for this objective is the BPU Finance Director. The timeline to accomplish is December 31st of 2016. Although the current collections don't expire until 2019, we need to start the process early if we want to extend it. The measurable outcome, of course, would be if the local option sales tax legislative authority is extended. Partnership opportunities: the local state legislators, the Chamber of Commerce and BLADAC, Economic Development Authority, and the City of Baxter. As you know, Baxter has a mere local option sales tax. We're collecting this together. That's what we have for stable financial planning. Are there any comments on those 3 items?
don't even speak in anyway. I have a question for Sheila. You said the Chamber of Commerce and Beldac, okay? How much you guys have been out the box to get business in Brainerd area? Instead of going the cities, Montana, have you been out the box? Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, these are the people with the buck.
Okay.
You guys look at this area, Sheila, say, I want to be a partner. Be like Saudi Arabia and the world.
Thank you.
Their partnership, ma'am, is 51-49.
Okay.
You hold the keys. 51 to the city of Brainerd, 49 for whatever partner we have. How much these guys have been looking at these guys.
Okay, we can get some information for you on that.
I mean,
Thank you.
It's nothing. I mean, yeah, we can talk, we can put this on paper. What is the result? Is that going to be in 2 months from now? Next year, we're going to go right away and do it? This is where people get frustrated, ma'am. That's why
Okay.
you don't have too many people here.
Okay, thank you. Thank
You're
you, sir.
welcome, ma'am.
Anyone have any other comments on stable financial planning? Bonnie?
Well, not so much on what you're saying, Sammy. I'm writing it down, and of course, we're going to give this some serious thought. The only other comment that came by email was a concern about the realistic timeline in this particular category, particularly the first part of focus number 2. I don't know if any of you have any thoughts about whether we're trying to get too much done too quickly, but it is important, I think, that staff get their financial planning prior to the 2014 budget. They seem to feel it's doable. But again, we've got that recorded on the chart. Some of you may have a better idea of whether you think that that deadline is meetable or not. So anything, though, that you would like to raise a question about the city's stable financial planning?
Okay. Now we're going to move into some maybe a little more fun stuff. Chip would definitely agree with this, that this is a little more fun stuff. Our strategic focus number 3 is upgrading the city's website and creating a city newsletter. The objective for this focus is to update the city's current website to provide more information about what is happening in the city, to clarify City Council's direction to the public, and to direct the public to artistic, cultural, and recreational opportunities. The action steps needed to meet this objective: we have to revamp the current public utilities newsletter to become a city newsletter. We have kind of rethought that a little bit differently. We are looking and exploring the fact that the city would put out its own newsletter, possibly on a quarterly basis, possibly on a semi-annual basis. That is to be determined yet. It would be a newsletter that would have brief information in it, and then for the rest of the story would point you to our website to get more information, to dig deeper. That's our concept right now. We need to determine the costs and establish some funding opportunities, such as advertising. If we could get advertising for our newsletter, that would cut down on the cost. We need to determine the personnel and vendors needed to achieve success. Staff leadership responsibility is me. I better get busy on this. And the timeline to accomplish that is the end of this year. We hope to have our first newsletter out before the end of this year. And also our city website upgraded. The measurable outcomes is substantial communication options that will be available to the citizens, businesses, and potential area guests. Noticeable public relation improvements with citizens and businesses, and the number of hits that are on our city website. Partnership opportunities that we have identified are freelance writers, local photographers, Brainerd area business, community college, crossing arts, cultural organizations, Brainerd Public Utilities Department, community video showcasing. That's the company that's going to have the video streaming on our website. And I'm sure there's many others that I haven't identified. Anyone have any input on this particular focus area? Do you, okay, thank you, Ed.
Oh, Ed Shaw, and well, overall, a great job, and I thank the council and the staff for a lot of good ideas and hard work on this. My comment is, sort of fits into this, but maybe not completely, so, something I've talked about before, which I think goes to kind of communication, visibility, transparency, is in getting people to serve on the various commissions, library board, which I'm on, BPU board, which has some tough decisions to make, other ones. I think the city should formally adopt a merit selection process. We have great leadership, great mayor, great council president, but they won't be in office forever, no doubt. There'll be different people in there. We need a process that's fully transparent so people know the best people are getting onto those positions. In the past, the process has probably been a little less than transparent. We have 3 former elected officials on the 5-member BPU board, the only one that gets a salary. That doesn't look good to the general public. That doesn't look good when we're giving people rate increases and other tough pills to swallow. I think now is the time to adopt merit selection, have a fully transparent process that'll complement all the other good work that we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have any comments?
Just because I think you need to stretch a little bit, would you all stand up? Okay. Now, those of you that heard about this meeting on the radio, will you sit down? Those of you that heard about this word of mouth, would you sit down? Those of you that read about it in the newspaper, would you sit down? Those of you that were forced to be here tonight because you're on staff or council, yeah, you've stood up long enough. Those of you that saw us promote this at city council meetings, maybe on television, or you were in the audience at a meeting, would you sit down? Those of you that found us on the website, would you sit down? Did any of you get a special invitation to come? Oh, yay. Okay, you can sit down. Service groups and organizations that are being represented. Okay, you can sit down. My family. No, they're not here. They weren't interested enough in coming. So, Don, I think you got... Email. Okay, special invitation. And how did you, Mike, did you hear about it, property managers? Perfect. Thank you. That's a way that we might not have thought of. Oh, sure. The one on 6th and... Yeah. Take that car, make a U-ey right in the middle of the intersection and go to that meeting. Thank you so much for being here. I just thought I'd check and see.
That's a good idea. Thank you. I noticed my husband sat down when she said word of mouth. Okay, the last focus area that we're going to, no, yes, we did the newsletter, yes, okay. The last focus area that we're going to be talking about is the design and build a Mississippi River Walk. The objective description for this is to connect downtown to the rest of the trails winding through town, which will assist in Brainerd's brand by ultimately connecting the city to the river. That was one of the biggest things when we first started this strategic planning process was, what is Brainerd? Who is Brainerd? Why is Brainerd? We need a brand. We have a brand, we need to promote that brand. We have this great asset, the Mississippi River, and we want to be able to utilize it more to help us identify us as Brainerd. The action steps needed to meet that objective is to collect applicable visioning tools such as maps, photos, illustrations, and already formulated plans. This isn't brand new. There's a lot of progress going on with other organizations that we're involved with working on this also. We need to prepare information describing the need, the vision, and the benefits of the project. We need to collect information on rough cost estimates to determine the scale of the project and then final funding needs. We need to begin communication with prospective partners and to complete the trail connections throughout the city. Staff leadership responsibility for this is the city planner, the city engineer, and the Parks and Recreation Director. The timeline to accomplish the action steps is December 31st of 2016. Measurable outcomes would be the number of miles or blocks built, the specific visible changes along the riverbanks, the number of individuals using the system, which contributes to the general health of individuals and the community. We identified many partnerships on this project, and there are many that I'm sure that are out there that we did not get an opportunity to identify. The DNR, private landowners, HUD, Mississippi Headwaters Board, Great River Council, Crow Wing County, Community Service Organization, architectural firms, HRA, the Chamber, BLADAC, any organization basically within the city of Brainerd and state and federal agencies that help contribute to this kind of project are considered potential partnerships. Mark, did you bring those samples along? Sure. We have a couple samples of river walks from other states or cities that we just kind of want to show you. Not that any of these are anything that we're thinking of, but just to give you an idea of what we're talking about when we talk about a river walk. This one is from
Naperville, Illinois.
Okay, Illinois.
When you're looking at these photos, ask yourself the question, what if? That's all I'll say.
Okay, you're gonna help.
This is Rockford, Illinois, I believe, and as you can see, they have completely transformed their riverfront in that community and have undertaken a major, major redevelopment project there. Again, ask yourself, what if?
This is an architectural concept of Brainerd. Is that the high-rise?
That's the high-rise. What if?
Okay. Okay, are there any comments on that focus area? Sir?
You show us a picture, beautiful land, the whole thing.
Sammy, there are people at home that want to
I don't know if you guys hear me anyway. Ma'am, you show us beautiful picture of the area, okay? Like Bonnie mentioned, I am getting up there in age, okay? We have this beautiful garden. Are we using the river 100%? No. How about a hotel? How about a casino? How about a restaurant? Let's forget the ecology, all right, ma'am? Egypt, where I'm from, we use the River Nile to the heck of it. Boats are piled up. People go just to be by the water, ma'am. Why go lake? Everybody fight to have a restaurant. Why don't we do the same thing? We have garden all along the River Nile. Who's paying for it? You and me. Admission, 50 cents. Hey, 50 cents, keep up the garden going, ma'am. Why don't we have permanent restaurant?
Those are some of the
renting
ideas.
boats, pedal boats, whatever, like the River Bell,
Yeah.
the one in Breezy, who go, or a shuttle bus in the river.
Good
These are the
ideas.
things we are not using, ma'am.
Yeah.
Board should be involved, not these guys. Let's go where the buck
Okay.
is. The major point, ma'am, is the buck. Let's don't fool ourselves.
That is
And
true.
let's go to that. Let's go to the country who has the buck I want it.
When you're done, can I talk?
Huh?
When you're done, can I talk?
Sure, ma'am.
Okay, thank you,
That's what I
sir.
mean, ma'am.
Okay.
So,
Thank you for
maybe
your comments.
something
We
will be
appreciate that. That's the kind of thing we're looking forward to. Ma'am?
Hi, my name is Pam Stock. I live on the north side. This is exciting because I grew up in the Mississippi, 400 miles south of here, in Dubuque, Iowa. And when I was growing up, Dubuque didn't do much with the river. It was just there. And since I've been gone, I'm 51, I go back now, and it's really, I don't know if anybody's enjoyed the river in Dubuque, gone down that way. Anyway, they've done, you have?
No,
Oh.
gentleman over there.
Yes. Have you been there recently? It's beautiful, isn't it? It's really, yeah, they've just done some really incredible things that have really helped with the economy in the community. That was a city that John Deere shut down, and, you know, the joke was, you know, last one out, turn off the lights. Years ago, that was in the 70s, and now it's just really thriving. So this is really exciting. So, great idea.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments?
Come on, yeah. John wants to come, and Howard also will want to come, so we'll make sure everybody is heard. The comment that came in the email that was up here is, nice idea, but is it needed? Where will it be located? How will it be funded? And the subscript of that computer message that we got this afternoon was, I hope not from tax dollars. So, again, I want you to know that side of it, too. It's a little bit different than what Pam presented to you, but both sides have to be heard. John?
Okay, my name is John Van Essen, and I'm a member of the Brainerd History Group. And we have been very involved in the past couple of years in trying to get Brainerd to emphasize more of its historical, cultural heritage. And with this river walk, a lot of the early history of Brainerd involves the Mississippi River. The crossing, first of all, but there are steamboats and other sawmills and things of that nature that are right along this river walk. And so I know we're already in the process of getting pieces of information out to the public that are going to be posted on there. But I just wanted to make sure and offer my encouragement to continue doing this type of thing.
Thank you. Thank you. Howard, did you have something? Do you want me to bring? Okay.
My name's Howard Brewer. I live in Brainerd, and I think many of you are already aware of what I'm trying to accomplish as far as developing Lum Park and the Kiwanis Park and Boom Lake area, and that ties in with what we're talking about here about the riverfront. The meeting with the Parks and Rec Department and the city planner over here and various council members. I can see a really tie-in to help bring people to Brainerd. My objective being is to get 30 little boats in each park to get started. But as I go along, I see where everything's starting to tie in. You know, if we get something going in Lum Park and the Kiwanis Park area, that puts funds, generates funds for Parks and Rec, which can be used for additional things like Mark is talking about what they do in Northfield and it's things like that. So I think the Kiwanis area would be a perfect place to have some kind of an arts festival to draw people.
Oh, sure. Good idea.
I might just mention that August 24th, it's a Saturday, at the National Guard Armory, we're going to have a fundraiser to start generating funds to do all these things. And hopefully it's first annual, you never know.
Okay.
And then do that every year and get involved with these other projects down the road because, oh, I should mention too that I'm glad to see all the city council here, staff members, and department heads because it's a team effort.
It is. Thank you.
Nobody can do it by themselves.
That is
and
very
I'm
true.
learning the hard way. It's a lot of work. So,
Thank you.
Here's to the future objectives.
Thank you. If you didn't pick up his date, it's August 24th at the Brainerd National Guard Armory. You'll hear more information about that. Anyone have anything else they want to talk about? Levon?
Hi, I'm Levon Thiesing, and I stopped by because I heard you were talking about redoing Brainerd. I wanted to share with you that I was a business person.
I'm going to either move that down or hold this one.
Okay. I was a business person in Brainerd, downtown Brainerd, for several years, and we had the bridal shop and we had a gift shop. I was active with the Downtown Business Council, and we tried to do things for downtown. I went around the block and took a survey of how many people that wanted to do something about the block I was on, because it was a burned out area. That was a big issue, what to do with the burned out area. And there wasn't a meeting we didn't go to that wasn't discussed. I went around to each person and asked what they wanted, if they'd be willing to sell. They were. One person only didn't want to because he had some new front things on his building. Then I also talked to, previous to this, I had talked to the head person at Dayton's, because we're trying to do something to improve downtown Christmas time. We're going to get the little amateur, miniature moving things they put in the windows from Dayton's thing that they have every year. And in my conversation, this man said, "Do you have theaters in your town?" I said, "We have 2 of them." He says, "Don't let them tear them down." I tried to. I tried to do something. And I understand that the college was even going to do plays in one. That would have revived our town of Brainerd like you wouldn't believe. He told me that. He also gave me a name of a man that would be the best person to rejuvenate them, and it was in Michigan. I went through all this. Also, I had I don't remember how I got connected with, with a convention center person. And they were the people that eventually took the Brainerd hotels. But they were interested in buying out this place and building a whole convention center there. Mr. John Madden, he called and said, "You tell him, I'll guarantee I'll keep him full all winter." So that's just a little bit of background. I took this to the city, and Dan Vogt is who would talk with me. I never got to the council. He says, "Levon, you're the only person that thinks that way." And it never got off the ground. He said I would never do anything because of the Brainerd or Holiday Inn. Well, I had talked with him also. He's one of my neighbors, and I knew they were going out. So anyhow, I thought, why worry, But that was the beginning. The other thing I'm here for is the walking trails. That's why I got involved with this time, because we have such a water problem in Buffalo Hills. We've had 3 or 4, 3 in 9 years, new water systems, softeners, reverse osmosis, and water heaters. The water heater we only replaced twice, but the third time, recently again, we were told we should get rid of that too, with no help from the city. They come, they talk about it, and we still have crappy water. Others in the area have crappy water, and they don't seem to come to us to help with it at all. I ask if we have our own water well, if we couldn't use our own water. Oh no, because then everybody else will want that too. But anyhow, that's why I'm here. I wanted you to know that. And then we're having walking trails. I thought that maybe they're going to put their new water system in, and that's when I called to find out. Where are the jobs? I have 2 people in my family lost their jobs. One was very highly skilled in a nursing home. The other one was a what is it? Our paper mill. He worked there a long time. He doesn't have a job. Other people are losing their jobs. organizing the neighborhoods. Why now? People are busy taking care of their families, looking for a job, and trying to take care of their family. And my question is, why not? Why now? I feel that we are in a crisis in our country right now. Our crisis are like the code improvement you're going to do. How can people afford to repair their stuff? All they are to do now is just exist, take care of their families. We can't have more taxes. I worry about how we will pay our taxes when our Social Security is cut. I'm sorry we depend on Social Security, but that's what's sold to us when we were young, and we just got that and figured this is the way you do it. Right now, I wished I'd had another choice, so I wouldn't have to depend on government. We can't afford more taxes. Our local taxes won't be stable if the residents don't have the ability to pay more taxes. They're more going to be losing their homes. Don't need a newsletter. They can read the newspaper and listen to the TV. Do we want everything on the website? What would Obama do with that? Just a couple more things. I feel like I'm having a dream listening to this. I have been watching TV, reading books. Everybody should read the book, The Harbinger. I'm sure you've heard about it. You should read it. My husband has been watching and studying prophecy, and we watch the news to know what's going on. We belong, Mr. Obama, we belong to the Tea Party, and so you have a lot of information, and this is scary. We're too late. We should have done this when I had my business, and at that time we had a lot of good workers. We're all trying so hard to do something, but the city beat us. They took the theaters down before we could get them. In fact, I was trying to sell my building so I could buy it, and I would have made the Brainerd Theater into a restaurant.
Thank you, Levon, for your comments. Anyone else? Sir?
Mike Murphy. The question was, what if? Have we heard that before? What if we have Brainerd Oaks? Wait a minute. How much did that cost the city of Brainerd? What if we have the industrial park? Wait a minute. What happened? How much did that cost the city of Brainerd and us taxpayers? What if we have College Drive for $4 million? Wait a minute. What if it happens to turn into $10 million? What if we're going broke? Everybody here, one lady, says spend, 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 spend. No, I haven't heard of any, your mission, your plan, your vision. Is there anything to reduce the taxes? Anything to reduce spending? How many people were here 20 years ago in city of Brainerd? How many people are here now? How many people did we have on the city employee, paid city employees 20 years ago? How many do we have now? Way too many. We got to reduce staff. We got to reduce this spending. Our property values are going down. Our taxes are going up. And I'm ashamed that this place isn't full of people saying, stop spending our money. It's ridiculous. Now we want to take and get a better rating on our bonds, raise our electric bill, so we can borrow more money and spend more. Let's borrow more. You get it cheaper. Let's stop spending. Let's not borrow any. Let's get down to debt-free so we can get some sensibility in the city again, because there is none now. You want to know what the city is known for? The city's known for potholes. We got people wanting to take and build trails in this stuff, but they don't maintain the streets. We wouldn't have the potholes if we did some maintenance. Yes, we'll have some, but we need more maintenance. We need less of this other stuff. We want to go see a pretty park, we'll go to Disneyland, not go down College Drive and see the wasted money there. Yeah, it looks nice, but let's get to, we don't need Disneyland here. Just wait.
Thank you, sir.
Wait a little bit.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I think we're a little bit off target here. Mr. Murphy?
No, this is the target. The target is spending too much of our money. And it's got to stop with these ridiculous visions of people that don't have...
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate that. Ed?
Wasn't going to get up again, but a majority of the city are not with the last two commenters. Most people have had enough of the negativity, the complaining about everything that's been done. There certainly have been mistakes in the past, no doubt. We've all made them, and most people want to move ahead. Most people are not just going to be negative and not want to do anything and fight about national policy. So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other comments? Levon, that's okay. Does anyone have any other comments as far as the items that we went through tonight? Do you have anything different?
I had forgot one thing. Are you going to get money, grant money from our federal government? Is that where you're getting some of your monies through federal government grants?
That's a possibility.
The reason I ask is because, do you realize our government is broke and we owe so much money to a foreign country and we can't pay it, and we're getting more in debt and more in debt. We're in debt right now equal to all the presidents put together.
Okay, thanks. Does anyone have any other comments that haven't talked yet that are specific to the four focus areas that we talked about tonight? Any council member want to add anything to the process or any comments? Anything about the mission statement or the vision statement? Anything that you think we should change or redo? Nyla, did you have a comment?
I'm too short. Nyla Patrick, I have a business in downtown Brainerd, and as some of you know, I'm very much a part of the downtown business and Brainerd restoration and the remodeling of the downtown, which I think is a beautiful downtown now, but businesses are suffering. Neighborhood investment is the area that I'm interested in. Starting way back in 1970, I worked with low-income youth through County Extension with Jim Rebell and 4-H, and now I'm still working with a lot of the low-income children, young adults in our community. And I feel like if we don't have a skate park in this community, then our city is a skate park. And while I am would be lovely to have the Riverwalk, for the dollars invested there, I think we have, I certainly helped with the Paul Bunyan Trail, and now I'm working on writing grants, and I'm working with the kids to earn funds for a skate park, and I think that's going to help with keeping some of our ordinances going for the downtown, where it'll be easier on the police department if the kids actually have a place to go be with their skateboards.
Good comments. And I neglected to mention when we were talking about neighborhood associations, to look at the downtown as a neighborhood association. I forgot to put that one in there. I said northeast, southeast, north side, but also the downtown as a neighborhood association. Any other comments? One more and that's it? A short
Yes,
one?
You promise you.
A short one?
When all these things gonna happen, you talk about vision, you talk about planning, we talk about all this. You have all this beautiful committee. When I'm gonna see action? Give me a date. You put 12, 31, 19,
Well, we had a
13,
date on, yep, we had
whatever, ma'am. They have to move their butt bold, go after. The job will come. The neighborhood will improve. So it's a chain reaction. You have no economy, everything gonna go up and down. Look at Egypt. You go from the farmer to the businessman. That's the way it is.
Thank you.
So
Just to give you a one more specific, Sammy, because I know those dates aren't enough for you. And I think it's a good question. After tonight's meeting, we're processing the scribble notes that I took on the flip chart. Our next council meeting is July 1st, and if the council members feel that we've got our bases covered, or if we need another couple of weeks to incorporate the comments that were made by audience members, we'll do that. If we don't pass the mission and vision on July 1st, then July 15th meeting is very likely to be the time that we say, this is where we want to go with these amendments, and that is the moment that staff responsibilities kick in along with council support, and things will start to move. Some of it's actually moving a little bit now, but that's soon, within a month. Okay? I know Chip wanted to come forward. Howard, did you have one last comment too? Okay, real quick. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just want to make a real quick comment that I got more information tonight than I've gotten in years with what Brainerd is looking for the future. And for those in the room that don't know, I think I should explain that what I'm trying to do at Lum Park and Kiwanis Park is at no cost to the city. This is going to be a separate fund by a subcommittee involving council members and department heads. And the first year's cost will be free to the city. And hopefully we continue with that. And in the course of, I don't know how many meetings I've been to, but a lot of the other things on this vision plan can also be at no cost to the city. You know, if you develop like Kiwanis Park and get arts and crafts, and you know, that's an income to the city, not a cost to the city. So I just wanted to be clear on that issue. There's a lot going on, and you need teamwork. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Howard. Councilmember Borkenhagen has some comments to make.
Thank you, Bonnie. Just a couple things to respond to some of the comments that were made tonight. I certainly know as well as everybody else in this room that these are difficult times that we're going through, not only as a city, but as a nation, the entire planet for that matter. We're all swimming through some thick water here. It's my perspective after campaigning that there are a whole lot of people in this city who feel that it's time to get the city off a dead center and move it forward. Moving forward sometimes is painful, but moving forward is not about who yells the loudest or who has the most negative comments. It's all about people bringing good, positive ideas to the city for us to process. Sammy, to your point, you ask, when is this going to happen? Why isn't somebody doing something? We are, right now, this very moment, right now, right where you're sitting, it is happening. This hasn't happened for a long, long time. But now is the time. This is the place. We cannot be thinking about Brainerd as it is now, or as it might be next year when tax time comes around. Sure, taxes are painful. I pay just as much as everybody else. However, if you want to sit at the table, then you have to pay your way. We have to be thinking about our grandchildren's grandchildren. We have to prepare a place for people who haven't even been born yet, but want an opportunity to have a good job in Brainerd, Minnesota. And good jobs aren't going to just fall from the sky. You don't go to the job tree and pick a few. You have to build a community that is dynamic, that has the cool factor. really, now Brainerd is a wonderful community. If it wasn't, I wouldn't be here. But when you think about it, cool factor-wise, that we have really taken advantage of, the only thing we have is an old water tower. We need more than an old water tower. We need to connect with the river. We need to bring the arts out of the woods, out of the attics, out of studios tucked away here and there. We need to come alive again. We need to regroup. And it's not going to be easy. I can attest to that after just 4 months in this position. It's pretty incredible. So I really thank you guys for showing up tonight, because that's where it all starts. You got to show up. So thank you.
Just some closing comments. The whole tenor of the room changed a few minutes ago. It was just a stiffening and an uncomfortable feeling. I don't want you to leave fearing what you may have felt. I wrote those ideas down on that flip chart. Those people had the same rights to be here and to share their ideas and their opinions as everyone else did. I don't know that it will massively change where we're going now, but their thoughts are recorded, and those are going to have some impact as we go forward. If there are other ways that we can find funding to build something or to maintain something, message heard. If there are some other things that need to be done, you know, Brian, you mentioned the potholes again. We're going to continue to work. Yeah, Willow Street, Jeff. Yep, Jeff's got that, and he's got that recorded right up here right now. But we can do that, and at the same time, we can find some resources to make some of these other improvements as well. So sometimes you have to get the wiggles. Sometimes you have to feel a little uncomfortable. But we're all going to end up in a spot that I think will make everybody feel good. This is a fluid process. If we get the stable financial planning thing checked off in a year, we can go back and we can find something else to fill its gap and just continue to go. But this was our first attempt. It's a 3-year process. We need your help, your support, your ideas. Those of you that are watching on Cable Channel 8, you didn't get a chance to get to a microphone, but I know you know how to find me. And also people on the city website, send us your ideas, your thoughts, your reactions, your responses. If you go home tonight, those of you in the audience, and all of a sudden something comes to mind that you wish you would have said here this evening, get a hold of us, pass it on, and we will do our best to honor the kinds of things that you've shared with us. We also want to honor your time, and I said at the beginning we would be here from 6:30. We started at 6:32 until 8. It's now about 8:02. I'm willing to stick around if you want to tell me what you really think. I have a limited window of opportunity for you to use that. But unless anyone else has anything to share, I want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We appreciate the validation, we appreciate the critique, and we'll do the best to make sure that we make you proud. Thanks so much.